What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. Tom will not be with us today. We are having some technical difficulties, but either way, we have a great video today. We saw a lot of great price action in the markets today that should provide a lot of opportunity for the rest of the week, both for trades to the downside and the upside. So overall, we have a lot of great plays for tomorrow, and we have some pretty crazy developments happening in the market right now. So we could see some of the craziest news today is that Russia hit the outskirts of Kyiv and Chernihiv despite their pledge to pull back. So basically they just bombed the outskirts of Kyiv and Chernihiv in a pretty brutal way just a day after they said that they were going to scale back their military operations. So that is pretty devastating, and it's kind of shocking, kind of not shocking, as Russia has done things like this in the past. But either way, it is some pretty interesting news and pretty sad news, but I figured I'd bring it up. Obviously, this is not good. Overall, looking at the market's reaction to that news, it wasn't too bad. The market did sell off a little bit today. We can see the S&P 500 closed down around 0.62%. But here's the thing. Over like the past 2 weeks, the stock market has done nothing but basically go straight up almost every single day. We have some of these tech stocks like Apple that had 11 green days in a row, and now they just had a tiny red day. And Apple is not the only company that is a little bit overbought in the short term right now. Like, there's a lot of stocks out there like that, and that's why there will be so much opportunity for the rest of the week. So that's pretty good in that sense. And we're going to talk more about some of the top opportunities in a second, but I also want to cover some of this breaking news with the airline industry. We can see that the Delta Airlines health chief thinks that the airplane mask mandate will soon be lifted. So we can see this first bullet point on CNBC says the US has continually extended the requirement that masks must be worn on planes and in airports, as well as on buses, trains, and other forms of transportation. But it is currently set to expire on April 18th. And that's coming up pretty quickly. We could see that several airline CEOs, including Delta's CEO, recently sent a letter to President Joe Biden asking for these types of policies to be eliminated. So I thought that was also pretty interesting. Looking at some of these airline stocks like Delta, they have been uptrending in an amazing way over the past couple of weeks, but still over like the yearly chart, it's been pretty tough. Delta over the past couple of weeks went from $30 to $40, which is quite the jump. That's over a 33% increase. So that's awesome in that sense. These airline stocks are doing decent in the short term, but they still have a lot of ground to make up that they lost over the past couple of years. Southwest, or ticker symbol LUV, is one of the top airline stocks. And we can see before COVID really hit, it was in a pretty decent uptrend. Like, we can see, like, this is the chart before COVID. It was in a pretty nice and consistent uptrend. And then COVID hit, and then everything just turned around in a terrible way. But LUV is not at a bad level. It might be something worth exploring over the next couple of weeks or so, but I think we're just a little bit too early for this one. But either way, looking back at some of these other top stocks like Apple, Apple has had so much attention over the past week because it had 11 green days in a row, which is the longest consecutive winning streak since 2003. So that's almost like the largest consecutive winning streak in almost 20 years, which is jaw-dropping because these types of events are so rare. And we can see that that winning streak has ended. Apple finished in the red today by 0.66%. So it's like, yes, it was red, but it really wasn't nothing too crazy. I still believe Apple is overbought, and I believe that we are definitely going to see this trend slow down over the next couple of days. So keep an eye on Apple. You know, there's a lot of eyes on it. It's moving in a historic way, and it's just going crazy, you know, so definitely keep an eye on it. There is some support right around $176.70. That level has been pretty important over the past couple of days. We can see that there have definitely been a couple decent bounces right around that level. And there's also some support right around $176.50. So if we do see this one, shift over in the morning tomorrow, it can be a decent day trade for puts or even just a short opportunity, but it just depends on how the overall market is moving. On another note, we even had like Tesla pull back a little bit today, but again, it was nothing too crazy. It pulled back by around 0.5%. Tesla is also pretty overbought. Over the past couple of weeks, it went from like $760 all the way up to highs of over $1,100. So it's in a pretty similar setup to Apple. Keep it on your watch list for maybe some call credit spreads, or maybe even like a put opportunity, or maybe even a short opportunity, because it is overbought. But when looking at big tech stocks for potential short plays, definitely pull up a chart of the QQQ, because at the end of the day, Apple and Tesla can be extremely overbought. But if we see the QQQ just rocketing to the upside and we have a lot of positive momentum, it'll be hard for those big tech stocks to fall. So while looking at Apple, Tesla, and other big tech companies, always have a chart of the QQQ pulled up to kind of make sure that momentum truly is shifting. That's something very important to keep in mind. While talking about big tech stocks, we could see AMD and NVIDIA, the semiconductor plays, took a pretty big hit today. AMD closed around 3% to the downside, and it did sell off in a pretty significant way. So keep this one on your watch list tomorrow. It had a pretty tough downtrend, or it had a pretty tough reversal today, and it's a wild one. So definitely keep this one on your watch list. There's normally a lot of good opportunity with this one, and the momentum is currently shifting to the downside. We also can't forget about these meme stocks like AMC and GME. Both of them finished pretty red today. AMC closed around 13% to the downside, where GME closed around 7.3% to the downside. They sold off in a pretty big way. Now, to be fair, in the past, it has had movement like this in previous run-ups. For example, if we go back to like late May and early June of 2021, we can see that AMC went from like $12.20 all the way up to like $36 over a couple days. And then it went from like $36 to lows of like $24 in the same day, which was May 28th. And then just a couple days later, it did rocket back up. But then, to be fair, that was a totally different market back in May and June of 2021 than what we're seeing now. So, they're just very volatile stocks. They're hype stocks. When things are going great, it's amazing. When things are going bad, it's terrible. It's like there's almost no in between with these ones. Like, it's like when it rains, it pours. And it's definitely they're crazy stocks. I'll leave it at that. But the momentum is definitely to the downside for today with AMC and GME. AMC can be a decent play tomorrow off of that $24 support level. If the momentum holds, it can be an okay dip buy, but if it doesn't, then it'll probably be ideal for some puts or some short plays. So keep that one on your radar. I also want to cover our momentum plays for tomorrow. The first one, we have Alibaba to the downside. The main level I'm watching with this one is $114.60. With the next one, we have Delta, which is DAL. The main level I'm watching with this one is $38.90. And then with the last one, we have Beyond Meat. For this one, I am watching $48. So I'm watching Beyond Meat, Delta, and Alibaba for potential day trades to the downside tomorrow, only if they break below the levels only if they break below the levels I listed. I'm so used to saying Tom, but Tom's not with us today. But yeah, so I'm watching these three plays for potential day trades to the downside tomorrow, only if they break below the levels I listed. Overall, we are set for a pretty interesting rest of the week. And I think there will be a lot of opportunity, one with these big tech stocks, also with these meme stocks like AMC and GME, and any other new catalysts that we have tomorrow. Obviously, the Russia-Ukraine situation is always updating by the minute. And like the news that comes out of Ukraine and the Russia situation is totally unpredictable. So if we have any terrible news in that sense, that can also influence the market in a big way. But the top stocks I am watching for tomorrow are definitely Apple and AMD. Both of these stocks had a pretty strong reversal today. It takes a lot to move a company like Apple and just stop it dead in its tracks. So Apple and AMD are the top ones on my watch list. I'm definitely leaning more towards the downside, given how much both of these stocks popped up over the past couple of weeks. But if we see a large blast of positive momentum tomorrow morning, I would shift my opinion and I'd look at it for some very short-term day trades to the upside. But overall, we're set for an interesting rest of the week. Even the S&P 500 is a little bit overbought. If you're looking to, maybe play the S&P 500 to the downside and you're not familiar with options, you can always check out VXX. Basically, when the market falls, VXX rises in a pretty big way. So like we can see the S&P 500 was down 0.6% today, while VXX was up around 0.6% today. So they're not always one-to-one correlated like that. For example, sometimes we might see the S&P 500 down 2%, and sometimes the VXX will be up 8%. So it just depends on how the volatility is moving in the market. Also, there's SPXS, which normally rises when the stock market falls too. But overall, I hope you guys learned something from today's video. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties in the videos over the past couple of days. Tom should be back with us hopefully tomorrow. That's the goal. But thank you guys so much for bearing with these technical difficulties. I really appreciate all of you guys. And let me know what stocks you are watching in the comments down below. Besides that, thank you guys so much for watching. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe.